Dirty Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Morning, man.
Morning.
We're live at 97.6 for the morning.
97.6 The Moose.
The Moose. When you ride the caboose, we got jams going all day long here on The Moose. We'll start things off with a little oldie but a goodie from Stained.
Stained.
Didn't you say Stained last episode?
Did I when we were talking about corn?
By the way, shout out to all my corn defenders. I see you, dirtballs.
Jesus Christ.
I see you, dirtballs.
Am I shocked that dirtballs are corn defenders? No, I am not.
I mean, you know, the
corn defenders.
Well, the comments I saw from dirtballs was like they had a few, and that's all I was saying. They had a few. You know, I am not like you know what's interesting about me and music. Rarely am I just like, oh, that's trash. I feel like I'm one of the guys who like is pretty like either I like it or I don't like it, but I'm also just like, it's music. I don't know. I feel like you're kind of a music. You're a music snob.
Maybe. I mean, I here's my thing about music is I totally understand that music is taste and you can like whatever you like and whatever. But yeah, I think my taste is pretty good. And then also, listen, I know I have guilty pleasures but yeah, if I don't like something, I don't fucking like it. What's amazing about, where we've come with like the Kendrick performance at the Super Bowl and whatever is I have hated Drake since day one. I heard Drake's shit. I was like, they're like, oh, this is the hot shit. I was like, this is the trashiest shit I've ever heard. This is the epitome of whack. And then we're talking about, this is back in New York, dude. This is in 2008, 2009, 2000, whatever, like whenever he fucking started. I was like, this is whack. And I spent 15 years going, this is fucking whack. And they're like, oh, new Drake. I'm like, still fucking whack. This shit is trash. And then finally, 15 years later, Kendrick Lamar's like, Drake's trash. And the whole world's like, yeah, Drake's trash. So and I was like, I've been telling y'all for a decade and a half.
What exactly is your issue with Drake's music?
It's corny.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of the thing with me and hip hop has always been like, and maybe it's just like being a suburban white kid, and it's a genre of music that is like by somebody that's not like me, but it's like I like Wu-Tang, starting the song with like fucking torture motherfucker and talking about sewing your asshole closed and keep feeding you. Like I'm not into like what like it's a nice guy rap. Like, you know what I mean? And then Drake, especially, it's like, dude, you were on Degrassi. Stop trying to be hard. Like, and then the worst thing is like if you're faking it. Like, cause then I got into like Chance the Rapper or whatever, and he's his own fucking thing, or Kid Cudi or whatever. And it's like, I got mental issues. It's like, cool, just be you. Drake is trying to be hard. And I was just like, this is the fakest shit ever. And thank God that it all finally came around. But I was like, also, I've been living on this island.
Yeah, I think the faking it is definitely that. By the way, that's been my theory all along with like Diddy, is that like he went so hard the other way because, and I'm not saying like he didn't like, because his dad died when he was young, and like it's not like he grew up like a rich kid. I'm not saying that, but I think he tried to overcompensate for being a kid. Not that he, a kid who did start in college, and it's like he went to college, and my point is like that's just my theory. Is like he went so hard the other way to prove that like, yeah, I'm tough. And you could almost make the same argument for Tupac. Realistically, like Tupac
I mean, listen,
he went to
I have
he went
made
to like
that
art
argument.
school, didn't he? Didn't he go to like theater school?
Yeah, I have made that argument for Tupac, but at least the thing is like Tupac, his like he was doing a little bit more of like the social change lyrics, like way before other people were doing that in hip hop, and like cool, good for him. Just like for me, my issue with Tupac was never like, oh, I think it's bad. I would just be like, I'm not trying to sit in my car. Like I drive a fucking vintage Cadillac forever. Like I'm not like changes.
I got you. Yeah, like obviously, I've always been a big Tupac guy. Speaking of that, and Diddy, I was laughing. I was listening to Hit 'Em Up the other day, and I was like, can you imagine if we did an updated Hit 'Em Up with all the gay stuff Diddy did?
Oh yeah, yeah.
like if they re-released Hit 'Em Up, with all the knowledge of all the sex parties and the what do you call them, freak offs, and also which I learned from watching one of those documentaries, the Big King Night, which is basically a freak off, and all those things that Diddy was doing.
That's why I've always loved 50. Like he was always like fucking verbally attacking those guys, and it's like, remember he dropped and he was just like, I'm from Queens, I got shot 9 times, fucking come at me, and you're like, all right, this dude is literally still threatening people.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. He's definitely been an underrated hip-hop artist.
Yeah,
100%, especially his first 2 albums.
And obviously Kanye's lost his fucking mind to a level that,
well, he's not a Nazi anymore. He said, I think I saw today.
Oh, well, that's, I don't know. I don't know if it's that easy. Did he watch another fucking Jonah Hill movie? What happened?
He said, I think he tweeted that he's decided he's not a Nazi.
I don't think you can sell Nazi regalia on your website and then just be not a Nazi.
I would love to know like what percentage. I don't know if I use the word trolling. Like I don't even know how to dissect what goes on in his head at this point.
Mental illness.
Well, for sure. But then, the argument, and it's a fair argument, you always say, at what point does mental illness, what point do we, where a lot of people excuse things he says or does because of mental illness. And then at a certain point, you're like, okay, dude, you're a grown adult. Like,
right.
You can't just say awful shit about people.
Also, he's been like open about like, oh, I do all this shit when I'm off my meds. And it's like, well, listen, if this is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde shit, right? Like if at night you're going to fucking turn into a werewolf, I guess you chain yourself to the bed, right? Like if like when you don't take your meds, you produce and sell Nazi regalia. Like maybe you just have somebody force feed you your meds.
Yeah, he wrote, after further reflection, I've come to the realization I'm not a Nazi.
Cool.
Which
we back.
Which, by the way, I like on Polymarket, you can
bet whether or not he's currently a Nazi.
Is Ye actually done being a Nazi? There's a 7% chance, yes.
I'd like to know. That's hard. That's gonna be a harder bet to win than the fucking what song was first played by Coldplay.
Well, I think the minute he claims he's a Nazi, and he probably will at some point,
you lose that bet.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild, dude. All that shit. And for the record, I'm not the biggest. I was never the biggest straight guy either. It never did anything for me, as well. But and I see your vantage point. I see what you're saying. Hip hop's just so different now than when we grew up. I mean, there was guys legit murdering, murder.
We talked about that.
We have rap beefs, all that stuff. It's just I agree of like, dude, when stuff hits, it hits.
Now, you still didn't watch the SNL thing, I assume, because you.
No, I haven't.
It's okay. You don't have to. The only thing I was gonna say was like it was interesting. I finally watched the concert, which I know you had seen before.
I'd seen,
which I thought was, 60% fine, and 40% still fucking trash. But Eddie Vedder covering Tom Petty, and then going into Corduroy. My girlfriend, my fiance, looked at me when he started covering Tom Petty, and she was just like, "Do you have a full fucking boner right now?" And I was like, "I'm gonna lose consciousness because so much blood is rushing to my dick." Like that's how hard I am for this.
My fiance looked at me and said, "Who is that?"
Shameful.
I said, "Are you serious?" She goes, "Who is that?" I said, "It's Eddie Vedder." She goes, "Who's Eddie Vedder?" And I just was like, I don't even know where to start here.
Yeah.
Like I go Pearl Jam, and she's like, "What?" I was like, "Dude, you were born in '89." Like,
my girlfriend was born in '90.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
Same wheelhouse. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, but then again, she was, she grew up on like fucking NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all that shit. But,
Backstreet Boys coming out was kind of interesting.
Did you see how turned the crowd got?
Yeah. My sister literally just bought tickets to the Backstreet Boys at the Sphere.
So you were saying that, and I was trying to. So I have an opinion on boy bands, and I think I said this on the Andy Ruther show. I don't think people realize.
Oh boy, here we go.
You can hate the music all you want. This isn't about the music. This is about how big, and you'll agree with me.
Oh, how big they were?
I said people don't realize.
Oh no, that was the biggest shit ever.
And I'm like, dude, when NSYNC would come to Cincinnati, they put 45,000 people in a stadium. I said, NSYNC did the halftime of the Super Bowl. People don't realize how big.
In 2000, Millennium sold the most albums ever in the first week, and then NSYNC beat that like 2 months later.
That's what I'm saying. People don't
like the biggest album ever. I mean, I'm sure that's been broken a few times over at this point, but like not 10 times over.
And that's all I was trying to say was you had so many like
huge my sister, I went and saw NSYNC with my sister because, my sister was so crazy for the band that she bought like 12 tickets and brought all of her friends. And then I think my mom or my dad, one of my parents like had to chaperone them because they're in like, they're freshmen in high school or whatever. And then my mom's like, you just got to take it. Like, you just need to help me like wrangle 12 teenage girls. Like, just make sure none of them get abducted or whatever. I was like, I'm going to NSYNC. I was like, where is this happening? And she's like, Giants Stadium. Yeah. Giants Stadium, dude.
Giant Stadium.
That's where the Springsteen plays when he comes down.
And that's my point. That's all I was trying to say was that like I was trying to explain it to her too. I said, you live this, and same thing. Like she saw Backstreet Boys in concert when she was like a teenage girl. I said, I don't think people realize, even yourself. I was like, people don't realize how big this was. And personally, I don't think it'll happen again. I mean, history does repeat itself, so I could be wrong. But I just said of this many groups that had like staying power or like could, like you're saying, sell out a fucking football stadium, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like they're going to sell out the Sphere. My sister paid $500 for tickets.
You saw the reaction though on SNL. Did you see?
I mean, Jerry Seinfeld knew the words.
Which that was really weird, by the way.
That was really weird. Yeah.
Really weird.
Corey Bellinger was like, who's singing? Cody Bellinger, whichever one of the Bellingers it was.
I bet he's got a brother named Corey.
No, his dad's named Corey.
Oh, that's right. Did you see, speaking of baseball?
Speaking of baseball, baby. Andy, can I just talk about something before you even get into this? I'm going this weekend to House of Comedy in Arizona, working with Eddie Ifft. A little throwback weekend. I'm going to hit some Cactus League games, I think, if I can convince Eddie to go. Baseball is back, baby. And you know what I'm the most excited about? and this isn't even part of an ad read, I'm most excited about this. This is the best part of the year. Your first cold Miller Lite at a baseball game. Mine's going to happen in February. That's getting the year started right. We talk about how Christmas Day is the official start of basketball season. The official start of the year. The unofficial start of the year is when you crack your first cold Miller Lite at a baseball game. Mine's going to happen tomorrow, Saturday at the latest. We're talking about late February, baby.
A Miller Lite in February in the desert sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you get right there. Guys, Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Join Joe, join other baseball fans. Go to your spring training, whether it's in Arizona, whether it's in Florida, and then also go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Well, when you're at spring training, this is what I was about to mention, you can see something they're going to test, which they did last year in the minors, the automated ball strike challenge system during spring training games.
I've already seen clips of this from live BP at spring training, and I fucking love it. I love it.
So the system was used, like I said, last year in minor league where they challenged. Challenges were overturned 51% of the time. So this is what it is. Explain it to everybody. Each team will start with 2 challenges, and they will only lose their challenge if the umpire's call is confirmed. Only the batter, pitcher, or catcher can challenge a call. The player will tip their hat or helmet to the umpire to signal they want to challenge. There will be no additional challenges in extra innings. Hawkeye view will be shown during the review.
I love this. This is like tennis. My favorite part about this is it keeps everything in order, because they say you don't argue balls and strikes, which is like it's one of those rules that's like it's one of those rules that like you just say it enough so people believe it. It's like you just don't argue balls and strikes. Like, why don't you though? Why don't you? Sometimes it's the biggest thing in the game is if an umpire's like strike zone is off. It's like, oh, he's just calling them low today. You just accept that. He's just calling them low today. It's like if you were driving down the highway and the speed limit was 65 and you got pulled over doing 60. And they're like, he's calling them low today. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to have to challenge that in court. Like, no, just sometimes he's calling them low. And so this is good because it keeps umpires in check. Umpires, like cops. I mean, umpires and cops, they got to share 99.99999% of DNA. It's guys who protected by a union. Don't you dare talk back to me. You tell an ump to fuck off, you're out of the game. You tell a cop to fuck off, which I've done, thrown to the ground, knee on my back, arrested in the Port Authority bus terminal. It's so great to be able to be like, fuck you. Tap your hat and go, fuck you. And then they'll throw it up on the big screen and the whole stadium will see. You're wrong, bro.
So my question then is this. Why have umps at all?
Well, that's the next level. But now we're talking about, now you're saying defund the umps, which, by the way, let's fucking go. Yes.
No, but I want to hear the arguments though. Like what is the counter?
The counter is union. Like the counter is all the, like, this is why I'm saying cops and and like,
so,
what are you guys doing? How are you helping?
but
And it's
but
like, oh, the players will run rampant.
but logistically, like technologically and logistically, how does this all even work? Like who's like even on these challenges or even the quote unquote robotic ump? I don't understand. Like, how does it all work? Do we know?
What do you mean? What's your question?
My question is when they're challenging this
Yeah.
and they're using the technology, what form is like I guess I like what is showing that it was a ball or a strike or whatever?
You've seen tennis,
Yeah.
right? They go to the Hawkeye replay. Like
Not
that's not
the Hawk Tua replay.
not the Hawk Tua replay.
Okay.
You've seen in tennis, they don't show you a camera. They show you that super digital.
Okay,
This is where it hit the line. This is where it didn't. You can watch video of this happening in spring training already. It goes to the board and it shows you where the ball missed the plate or where the ball hit the plate. And then the umpire just has to eat a load of shit, which, by the way, is going to cause mayhem because umpires / cops are the fucking worst. They're the same. It's the same as referees when we did you can challenge pass interference. It lasted a year because referees in football just refused to admit that they were wrong, even when replay showed that they were wrong. So now what this is going to do is this is going to show them that they're wrong, not give them a say in it. It's not going to be they review it and then they get to make a decision, because we know that's the worst thing that you can do in sports is let the cops review their own case and then make the decision. This is going to make the decision for them. Just like in tennis, you'll throw it up there and whatever it shows you, which will be the way it goes. This is going to send cops / umps into a fucking meltdown. Hopefully to the point that it causes so much mayhem that you're right. We remove them from the sport. Defund the umps.
I guess my question to follow that up to is like, how far removed would that be if they're already moving in this direction? I wonder how long that would take. And then also,
Well, let me tell you something, Andy.
I wanted to share what some people were saying about this, by the way.
Let me tell you something. When I first moved to Brooklyn, when I first moved to Williamsburg, it was like just before the area fucking really blew up. And 2 years later, they were like, all right, bunch of people are moving to Williamsburg. We need to fix the train. The L train is dog shit. We need to fix the L train. The L train is the one train that served Williamsburg, went to and from Lower Manhattan. For fucking 3 years. For 3 years, maybe more. For 3 to 5 years. The L train, the one train that would serve the neighborhood, would close completely. And you would either have to like walk to the G and the G to the J and the G to the N. It was a nightmare. Or you just had to like get a cab into the city. Now you're in Brooklyn that hasn't populated yet. A cab is getting into a fucking Haitian black car. It was a nightmare. And the reason they shut down the L train entirely is they were updating the train and making it automated. So no engineer, shout out Ryan Klatt, no engineer on the train. We don't need it. We're going to automate it. For 3 to 5 years, the MTA ruined the lives of everybody living in Williamsburg. The main reason to automate the train, to have automated referees on the train. They finally do it. And the MTA union forces them to keep an engineer on the train who does nothing. They're just sitting there, letting the train be automated. I go, so now we did this whole thing. We ruined everybody's lives here to remove this guy from the train. and now you're going to pay him to sit on the train anyway and not do anything. This is fucking what's wrong with police unions, umpires unions, train unions. We're going to at some point have umpires that are just standing there doing nothing because it's all going to be automated, but we can't not have them.
You know, from a bigger picture, you could look at every position, right? I'm talking like the world, like with automation. I mean, right? Like I don't know, like, right? Isn't that one of the big questions right now? And that's one of the things that I feel a lot of people don't talk about, even though it's headed that way. Whether it's the driverless cars, driverless truck drivers, whatever, fast food.
I have a solve for this, Andy. Take every umpire at every level of baseball that can afford automation and make them answer the phones for tech companies. Tech companies have been automated the whole time. So if something goes wrong with your Google account, you're just fucked. If something goes wrong with your Apple account, you're fucked. If something goes wrong with your Venmo account, somebody breaks into your Venmo, you're fucked. Hold on. Oh yeah, you've gotten somebody on the phone at Apple twice.
No. You know my appreciation. Apple will be on the phone with you. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give Apple
Google, YouTube, Venmo, TikTok, Instagram, anything Meta, like fucking Yelp, Uber. Your Uber Eats driver just goes, "I delivered your food." They click deliver. Uber's just go, "I guess they delivered your food." I'm like, "That's funny. I'm sitting here without food." Fucking Tim, the Uber Eats driver's eating in the car and charged me for it.
Did you see that Uber story in the news?
No.
The outsourced Uber driver with somebody like posted, I think, on like Twitter that like
he had a car and he had the account and he just let somebody do it for him.
Yeah, it was like, and Uber was kind of like not doing anything about it, and he was like, "Well, dude, people are showing up to my house because you have to obviously get vetted before you sign up for that, and check through the background." And like, it was wild, and I was like, "That's kind of scary." Anyway,
I know this has been happening forever. When I used to teach surfing here, the guy who ran the surf school also drove Uber, but he outsourced his Uber. So one time I'm standing on Abercrombie and I call an Uber to pick me up, and I see the guy who runs the surf company's face, and I see the car that I know he drives, and I'm like, "Oh, Nick's coming to pick me up. That's hilarious." And I get there, and I get in the car. It's not him. I go, "What's your name, man?" He goes, "Nick." I was like, "Nah, it's not." He's like, "No, it's Nick." And I was like, "Is it though?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I know the dude whose face and car this is.
Yeah,
I know it's Nick. You're not Nick." And he's like, "Oh, well, I was like, "This is fucking ridiculous."
Yeah.
What if fake Nick had raped a girl? What if fake Nick had gone Jameis Winston on somebody?
That's what I'm saying. It's nuts.
Take every ump and make them answer the phones for Uber Eats. We don't need you calling balls and strikes. I need you calling Tim and seeing why he's eating my Chick-fil-A in his garage. That's what I need you calling. Inside or outside? I don't need that on balls and strikes anymore. I need that on my Uber Eats order. Is it inside my house or outside my house? Did it make it into the strike zone that is my house?
I also I saw something I want to bring up.
I think we might have to start defund umps. We might have to sell defund umps t-shirts.
Maybe Doge can go in there and clean them out.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the new. I said this on the Andy Ruther show. That's the new like OJ joke for me. Doge
can clean it out.
Well, it's just like a joke that a lot of people don't get.
Yeah.
Like I said, like they always have lollipops after Isla's gymnastics class, and they did last week. And I was like, man, Doge got you guys too, and like. So like, do you see where? And literally, Prano, nobody laughed. It was like, it's like two high school girls who run the gym. You go with your kids. Let's air quotes gymnastics. No, the girls didn't laugh. No parents laughed. I must have said it 2 more times. I'm like, man, Doge really doing budget cuts, huh? And they got the lollipops. They're so I'm obviously being sarcastic.
Yeah.
They're just really cracking down. And I want to be like, really, guys? That's not funny? Like I was like, Musk came in here. He yanked the lollipops away from those 2-year-olds. And then I told Brittany, and she's like, dude, it's not that funny. It's like you just think like, oh, they're cutting everything. And I was like, but no, that's my new thing. Get used to it. Anytime.
Which is funny because that is the kind of things that they're cutting. They're cutting lollipops and fucking and park rangers.
So like if I don't get something at a restaurant, like, man, did Doge get in here? And so I'm warning you now, and anybody listening, Doge is the new Taco Bell Ruther, Aaron Hernandez, OJ joke that I'll be doing. So what the fuck was I going to say? Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is kind of interesting baseball stat here. And it doesn't surprise me. Can I pull this up? I saw this on what was this account? Baseball History Nut or something. MLB teams. Let me just share it so you can see.
Yep.
It's basically showing how low the averages are.
Batting averages.
You see this?
No.
You see it now?
Yep. MLB teams hitting at least 250 as a team.
As a team.
Yep.
So let me try to get this screen a little bigger. So MLB batting averages.
It's plenty big. Yeah. You
Okay.
just have to scroll probably a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only 6 last year. Again, we're talking 250 as a team.
Yeah.
14 the year before, 2022 10, 2021 5.
Yeah, you go back to 30, and you're at basically all the teams in early 2000s.
Yeah, and it's just, I guess my question is, like, is this the basically all or nothing home run swing and stuff?
This is multifold. Okay.
Okay.
The reasons for this are, and obviously, thank God, but it didn't help that much as far as average goes, but we got rid of the shift. But even without the shift, we have hyper analytics on where to play guys. We have pitchers now. I was listening to a Mets podcast that I listened to the other day, and I was reminded of the fact that last year, so Jerry Blevins, who's a former Mets pitcher, he's one of the hosts of this podcast, and they were recapping their predictions for last year. And he predicted 0 complete games for the Mets. They actually had 1. So he missed it by 1, but he predicted 0. My point being that pitchers don't go deep into games anymore. We have, starting in the 6th inning, some Dominican comes out of the bullpen. He'll last exactly 18 months in Major League Baseball because he throws 104 for 18 months until his arm falls off. Then they bring in another guy. He's going to last 8 months in baseball. He throws 106 till his arm falls off. Starting pitching is dominant because they only have to pitch. They only have to get through 86 pitches. Then you're bringing in flamethrowers. You have the analytics of where to play defense. Then you add on top of that the, bloop and a blast strategy. Try to get a guy on base, launch angle, try to hit a home run. Putting the ball in play doesn't mean anything. Like it used to be, put the ball in play, make them, put the pressure on the defense. That shit doesn't matter anymore. They're just going walk, home run, strikeout, and if a ball falls in somewhere else, okay, well, I guess we got a guy on base. So it's a combination of all these things. Again, all which could be.
Is this the NBA version of the 3-pointer?
Yeah, it's the NBA version of the 3-pointer, but it's on multiple levels. Like the NBA figured out, and essentially, when we say the NBA 3-pointer, and I have once again, this is my Drake take. I have touted my natural mental ability when it comes to the game of basketball. This goes back to high school. I played high school basketball, and every single person I played high school basketball can attest to this. I mean, we're talking about thousands of hours of practice scrimmages, right? Thousands. I bet you I didn't take 3 mid-range jump shots. I didn't take 3. And you're like, why? It's because, well, why the fuck would I? I was a guard. I would get the ball on the perimeter. If I had an open 3, I would take it. If I didn't, I would pump fake and I would start heading to the basket. And if somebody stopped me from heading to the basket, I would pass the ball to somebody who was open. And if I didn't get stopped on the way to the basket, I would go in for a layup. The mid-range jump shot to me never made sense. It never made sense. And then the NBA comes around 30 years later and is like, mid-range jump shot doesn't make sense. Layups are worth the exact same as of Michael Jordan elbow fall away. Yeah. Why would we ever take them? So in basketball, it's become the 3 or the dunk layup or the little floater it's just like, why am I taking it 2 unless I'm pretty certain it's going in? And from baseball standpoint, they're doing the same thing, except they're also doing on the defensive end. On the defensive end, the analytics are all there too. These guys have a card they can pull out of their pocket that tells them exactly where to stand for each guy on the other team. And then you take into account that baseball, you can approach how to pitch someone. You can't decide how to, like Steph Curry, you could say, I'm not going to let Steph go left. He could still go left if he wants to. If you decide not to let a guy pull a ball and just feed him on the outside portion of the plate, he's not pulling a ball to the outfield. He might roll one over and ground ball a third. But being able to have the analytics and then the volume of information, you're watching guys, thousands of pitches, hundreds of at-bats. Baseball is just this game. Analytics have made it just, there's nothing you can do about the analytics. Like, you can't pretend to be somebody else over the course of 1,000 games. I don't know if you've seen, there was like a documentary on Greg Maddux, and I keep seeing this clip, and it's great. But he talks about not pitching. Eddie Perez, who was his catcher, talks about how Greg Maddux refused to pitch Jeff Bagwell inside. Have you seen this clip?
No, I haven't.
Maddux says, just don't set up inside on Bagwell. Don't set up inside on Bagwell. Don't set up inside on Bagwell. I'm not going to throw him inside pitch. And then they're up like 8 runs in a game in like August or something like that. And Perez calls for a fastball, and Maddux just shakes him off until he calls for a fastball in. And he's like, what the fuck, dude? I thought you didn't want this. And he's like, all right, throw it. He throws it. Bagwell hits it out of the ballpark. And he's like, why'd you do that? He's like, we're up 8 runs, dude. We're going to face these guys in the playoffs.
He's setting him up. Yeah.
Now he's going to be looking for that pitch, and I'm never going to give it to him again. But that's fucking galaxy brain shit.
That's chess versus checkers.
Yeah, you can't do that over the course of 1,000 pitches, or over a course of hundreds of at-bats. Analytics has just made it like they just know where you're going to hit the ball.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, we're going to pitch him here. He's going to hit the ball here. But now baseball's gotten to the point is like, he might hit it there. He just might hit it out there. Like, all right, we know he's going to hit it to right field. Okay, but he might hit it over the right fielder and out of the fucking ballpark. And when you look at those lists, now there's very, very few guys who on a consistent basis have an advantage over a pitcher, any pitcher. Because
Gotcha.
you're not getting this isn't getting to the point where, remember, you used to be, 3rd time through the order, 4th time through the order. Guys aren't fucking pitching 4 times through the order.
Okay, yeah, that lines up then. That makes sense.
And relievers in baseball are like receivers in football. You don't throw 102 anymore? Cool. Some kid out of Alabama does.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, don't ever pay like, unless you're talking about a closer, and even then, like, you just don't pay relievers. It's like, bye. We'll go find another guy that no one knows about.
Have you seen what the Cubs are going to do with their new seats in center field?
No. Should I be excited or angry?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it all depends, like how you feel about this type of thing. They've unveiled the yard, new seats in center field, high top seats, groups of 4 to 50 fans. Ballpark meals include unlimited beer, wine, seltzers, and non-alcoholic drinks.
Fantastic.
So, like,
this is what baseball should be.
So obviously, I'm sure it's not cheap, but it's basically the equivalent for the on the field end zone seats in football. This is, like the POV is,
yeah,
you're right there with the players.
This is what baseball should be, man. Baseball as a whole needs to remember, you just got to sell the experience. This whole, like, how to make baseball fans. It's like, dude, forget baseball fans. You know what I mean? Like, my girl doesn't want to go to a baseball game. She thinks it's boring. But I'm like, what if we're just like sitting in the sun and you have all you can drink Diet Cokes? She'd be like, ooh, all you can drink Diet Cokes. Now we're talking. It's like, just try to get people there. I hate to go full fucking Field of Dreams, but like, what I love about baseball is it's like, and it's why I hate the pitch clock. Now it's 2.5 hours, but it's 4 hour. It's a 4-hour escape from life, man. When you go to a ballpark 3-4 hours back in the day, you're allowed to eat 5 hot dogs and a fucking funnel cake and have 16 beers. Can you imagine if you sat home and your girlfriend's like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm just cracking my 8th beer and having my 4th meal in an hour. She's like, are you sick? Like, what? No, listen, I just had a hot dog. I had a ice cream sundae out of a helmet, had some popcorn, had some peanuts. Like, do you have a tapeworm? But you go to a baseball game, that's like what it's about. Get some sun, drink some beers, eat some food. And then if you're a baseball fan like me, you're there, you're fucking keeping score, you're doing the whole thing. But baseball has to be better at just being like, it's a thing to do. Come have a fucking day at the park.
Yeah.
And I'm glad teams are picking up on this.
I mean, like, again, this would probably be something that's very expensive, I'm sure, but people are going to pay it. And I think
also everything's fucking expensive these days.
Yeah, don't get me started, man.
Bro, you know what it's like to go skiing these days?
No, I don't ski. What's it like?
Well, when I was growing up, what do you think lift tickets cost for a day?
I don't know. I literally have no clue about that stuff.
All right, when I was a kid, lift tickets are $60.
Yeah, $50
for the day. Now they're $300.
Bro.
$275, $255, $310. I'm talking about no joke. My girl and I go skiing last week. You're talking about one day? And we didn't go one day. I went 4 days. She went 3 days. You're talking about $1,000 a day, ballpark. When you go 500 and then you're getting some food and then you're doing this and you're doing that. Après, renting the skis for her. I met Calabrese there. Calabrese was on his 6th day skiing with his wife and kids. I was like, to ski 4 days in a row with your wife and kids, it's like going to a Knicks game and sitting courtside 4 days in a row. How rich are you, dog?
Yeah, seriously. That's some money, man. That's some serious coin. It's ridiculous. I mean, everything is. I was, everything I do now, I'm like, especially when you just throw 2 extra bodies, you're like, why is this shit so expensive?
Yeah.
The good thing is under 2 is free. I'm going to be claiming they're going to be 16. I'm like, they're 2. You know what I learned, by the way, speaking of like saving money, I learned a a little life hack just from having kids I didn't know about. Bro, kids meals are like legit meals at this point.
Oh yeah.
Like every time I order a kids meal for Isla, I'm like, yo, that was $6. That's like, oh, the kids meal is just it's three small sliders and fries, and I'm like, okay, those 3 sliders literally equal
A burger.
100% like me getting a burger and fries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a total hack that I've learned. We have a good update about this Four Nations tournament.
So I saw the clips of the game, the fights, the whatever. I didn't even I know so little about what's going on with hockey that I'm like, I only heard about this Four Nations thing after. Like, what Four Nations?
So here's what's great.
And why is this a thing?
It's
And isn't
replaced
it
the
happening in
All-Star
the
game.
middle?
This is
Right.
smart. This has replaced the All-Star game.
So they don't do an All-Star game. No All-Star game.
Not this year.
Okay.
It's a new event from the NHL, which scrapped its annual All-Star game in favor of this exhibition. Now, the NHL historically has done some things, and obviously a lot of the players have played in the Olympics or whatever world competitions with their country. So it's a thing, right? It's different with the NHL. And it's crushing it. People are watching. It's heated. I guess that match between the US and Canada on Saturday got about 10 million viewers across North America. So it's basically who is it? United States, Canada,
That's a nation. Sweden,
because they got a lot of good hockey players. And was it Denmark?
Denmark?
Am I just completely wrong?
It can't be Denmark, Andy.
Or is it like one of those Eastern European?
It's gotta be.
Finland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot
all
of
those are the same to me.
There's a lot of Soviet bloc NHL players. Those guys just are not participating in this.
I guess not. That's what I do find interesting. And I don't know if that, again, I assume a lot of this is geopolitical.
Right. I thought Trump was like, fucking take care of all this. He's like, we'll get Russia in and they'll pay to be a part of it.
Well, I think it would be even better if you threw Russia in, personally.
Yeah.
Amp up the political stuff. So yeah, the final is tonight. I'm gonna try to watch it.
And who is it? Who's playing?
United States and Canada.
Again.
Yeah, because the US won both thirds.
Got it.
And then they're gonna play whoever won, so I think the other one's split, and then Canada, whatever has points. So that first one was in Montreal. I gotta talk to my buddy. My buddy was there.
In Montreal.
He was there for it. My buddy's and I can't wait to ask my buddy, one of my best college buddies. He is both a Canadian and American citizen. He was born in Toronto, and then he was naturalized here. I don't know, sometime in the last like 5-6 years. But for his work, he reps a bunch of these. He's in the money world, financial analyst or financial advisor. He has a bunch of NHL clients, so he was at it. I'm gonna be curious, like, dude, who were you even like? I assume you're rooting for Canada, right? Like, you were born and raised there, but you've also lived in the States now half your life. But this one is now in Boston.
And is it true that we'll rename Lake Ontario Lake Buffalo if
this is true?
This
is true.
Okay.
I
think that might be Lake Erie there. I don't know. One of them.
It will be renamed. What would it be renamed? Who's a good hockey? Lake? No, I was going to say Gretzky's Canadian. See, I'm like, I don't even know which
Lake
players.
Crosby. It's going to be Lake Crosby.
No, he's Canadian.
Is he?
Yeah.
See, what do I know?
He's one of the best Canadian players of all time. Yeah. So tickets for this thing are insane.
Lake Brian Leach. It's going to be Lake Leach. One of the great hockey
Lake
players.
Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
I don't know. He could have been Canadian too, by the way. I have no clue.
Brian Leach is definitely American.
The cheapest tickets tonight, or this is a story I saw as of yesterday, were around $1,200, man. Like this is like Super Bowl level tickets. Yeah, it's tonight. And Ryan left a call. Shout out to Ryan Klatt. Good to hear from you, Ryan. Hey, we'd love to have you on more. I know you're busy. You got a couple kids now too, and you got conducting trains. There's a lot going on.
Just call while they're at daycare, dog.
Are we really going here again? I know you got a different system up there in Canada for daycare. I know you guys get a long maternity leave. I've done some research. Shout out to the discussion going on Reddit now. Now that I've learned, now that Canadian Dirt
on
Balls
Reddit, I haven't been on I don't know the last time it was on our Reddit page.
Well, the Dirt Balls went on there, a few of them, and it's an interesting seeing how different countries do different things. But I don't want to get that to hijack this. But he did leave a nice call to give us and the Dirtball fam an update about this Four Nations for everybody who doesn't follow hockey.
Hey guys, it's Ryan Klatt. My name was mentioned last show, so I'm checking in. Okay, so real quick, Four Nations face-off. What the fuck is it? Just a little international best on best run by the NHL to give us a little teaser for the Olympics next year. As you guys may or may not know, NHL players will be returning to the Olympics next year for the first time since 2014. So that's really exciting. So we've got Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland, and going into this thing for maybe the first time ever in a best-on-best international tournament, USA had the best team on paper. Canada has more high-end firepower with McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Makar, but top to bottom, US just has a deeper team and massive advantage in goaltending. I don't think either of Canada's goalies would even be backups on the other three teams. So anyways, Saturday night's game, obviously 3 fights in the first 9 seconds, just incredible, so intense. I mean, some of the pundits going into this were saying this is going to be a glorified exhibition. I mean, they were proven wrong pretty quick. I mean, these players care so much about this. U.S. Winning a close one, 3-1. But Canada managed to beat Finland on Monday to set up a final between Canada and U.S. on Thursday night for all the marbles. So that's going to be great. And given with all that's going on politically with Trump and his 51 states comments, I think there's a lot more than hockey going on here. A lot of emotions. So hope you guys watch. You probably won't, but I think it's going to be great. All right, stay tuned.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to have it on, at least in the background.
I probably will not watch, but Ryan, either call back or we'll have you on the show. I got to know what countries are missing from. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of hockey in what used to be the Soviet Union, Russia, but also all those surrounding countries. Are these the top? It doesn't feel like these are the top 4 nations for hockey, but I could be wrong now that block has split up. I'd like to hear about that because, I mean, it feels like there's so many Eastern European hockey names. So I'd like to hear about that. Also, the game is tonight, Andy. Is that what you said?
Yeah, 8:00 tonight.
Okay, 8:00 tonight
Eastern.
Okay, so I could potentially maybe sneak a couple minutes of it.
I mean, look, he obviously what's going on politically with Trump, whether he's trolling or not, whoever knows about Canada's a 51st state. I would say I'd assume he's trolling, and then them booing the national.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, listen again.
His trolling is amazing, by the way.
I would never vote for a Republican or a Democrat. Unless some hero, some Bernie Sanders hero rose from the ashes. Never. I mean, if somebody really, but like basically, if you're involved in those 2 major political parties, you've probably sold your soul in one way, shape, or form anyway. So it would be hard to imagine who that would have to be. But Trump at this point, just like his platform is across the board, I'm just trolling. That's a wild thing for the president of the United States. All my decisions,
he trolls a lot,
are just trolling. It's like, I guess that's a good thing for some people. I don't know.
So, but
I like it when his trolling backfires And he's like,
But honestly,
day one groceries are going to be down. And now they're like, who cares about groceries?
well, I don't think that was really trolling. I think that was non-trolling.
What do you mean?
I think he was like thinking it would actually happen day one.
Oh, you thought you think he thought the second he became president, fucking groceries would come down?
Who knows with him? I never know.
I think sometimes he's just trolling his own supporters and being like, I can tell them whatever they want.
Well, there is definitely, that's a factor. I definitely think like the trolling Canada obviously worked. Like the booing of the national anthem, I thought was hilarious. And obviously it brings like extra passion for the game from both sides. And another reason I find it so funny is because it's like, this isn't like Iran or North Korea booing. This is like, or again, I don't know anybody who really has beef with Canadians, like in general. We've always talked about this, like
right,
nicest people. We know Canadians. Obviously, there's not a Canadian Canadian comedians who transplanted to LA, and like I said, one of my best buddies from college, like the nicest dude ever, Canadian. Which to me makes it even funnier, like the trolling and all this stuff, like as far as the sentiment. But tonight will be interesting because it's Boston, which I assume is like a lot of MAGA people will be there. So like there'll be extra turn, and it's just going to add to the energy.
I mean, the type of people that are there, they're ready to fight. They're ready to fight, Canadians, but they're also so uneducated that they're kind of hoping Bill Russell shows up so they can call him the N-word.
Savage.
And you're like, Bill Russell's dead. And they're like, is he though?
I don't know if those people can afford seats for this though.
Yeah. Oh, I think you'd be surprised.
But I know Canadians are prideful too.
I'm rooting for Canada. Straight up.
You're unbelievable.
Straight up. Go
I knew you were gonna say that.
I of course I am.
Here's my thing. I don't, like I said, I don't. Obviously, I will be rooting for the United States, but as far as Canadians are concerned, I don't have anything bad to say about Canadians. Like as far as any Canadians I've ever met are like the nicest people. And also it's just such a different, we've talked about this, it's just such a different country. Like there's 40 million people in Canada. It's mostly snow. Whereas that's why I love when people get worked up here, because it's like, guys, like Canadians, also they are prideful and they should be. Like the guy's talking about talking about just taking them over, which would never fucking happen, by the way. I would never want that. So I hope it's fun. I assume it'll be good. I mean, according to Ryan, the star power is on Canada, but the depth is on the States, especially in the goalie situation. I was looking at some betting stuff. The odds on I think they have an MVP of this tournament. I think it is like the goalie for the United States. So
which is who?
I have no fucking clue. I just saw goalies are the betting favorites for America or whatever. So So I don't know, but look, we've talked a lot about All-Star Prano. I think this is smart. It's gaining interest. They said fuck the All-Star game.
Good. Absolutely. Listen, there's been so much talk about the NBA and the broken All-Star game and hockey and the broken and baseball and all the broken All-Star games. And it's like, listen, we are now at a point where it's just like these guys make a ton of money. Like if a guy gets hurt, I certainly don't love that Edwin Diaz fucking tore his knee in the World Baseball Classic 2 years ago. It's like, this is the kind of thing where it's like, it doesn't factor in for your team, but find a way to make it, exciting, find a way to make it competitive, whatever it is, just find a way to make it competitive or don't do it. You could just as easily do, the NBA awards or the NBA, whatever, and and have a ceremony and have Kevin Hart do fucking stand up or whatever, because he's going to be annoying either way. And just make it interesting, but like, don't trot people out there for a fucking half-ass thing. And, you know, for Four Nations, the idea that the NBA fans are going to get as turned for Team Shaq versus Team Ernie versus team, like, you're like, okay, who gives a fuck?
I would be curious, Ryan. It'd be great to get you on if we could, just in general, because not just why it wasn't Russia or whoever.
Yeah, because every third hockey player's name is Igor.
Yeah, like,
how?
Not just that. I would love to know, like, why did they decide that Team America played Team Canada the first game in Montreal? Like, you know, like how were all those things decided? And if there was anything behind it. And yeah, I really want to know why, because, you know, you got Czechoslovakia, you know, whatever it is, Czech Republic now, but I'm saying, like, which I guess used to be, was that part of the Soviet Union? I don't know.
Yeah, all those fucking countries.
But that's my point, is like, you have so much good professional hockey talent there. I don't know.
And then Doge got involved, and now we can't have any fucking Eastern European countries.
Don't. Hey, you leave the Doge jokes to me. You leave the Doge jokes to me, especially the ones that involve lollipops for 2-year-olds. What did I want to? Oh, I want to play this call. Speaking of calls, we got a. I like this call. It's about grinding the gears. I can't believe we've never really talked about this.
Hey boys, Brian Heinrich calling in again to give you maybe another segment for the grind my gears part. Now this grinds my gears, and maybe it grinds yours too. Poster board signs at games. Never really thought about them much until I saw this Chiefs game earlier this year, and they showed some fan holding up a sign saying, "We flew from Alaska to be here." And like, I don't know, so I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, who the fuck cares? I mean, honestly, take your arts and crafts project home and get it out of my face while I'm trying to watch the game. You're going to block my view so you can say you went on a fucking plane? I don't know. Like, we've talked about the costume fans recently, and, you know, I don't really mind them other than being dorks. And, you know, the cuck cam is a dirty sports staple. But unless my memory is short, I feel like the sign people have skated by undeservingly unnoticed. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Condoms for all my friends except for Al. Shout out Al, who thought the fucking NFL was rigging it for the Chiefs. Still waiting to hear who's rigging it, and I pray no you'll appreciate this. I've been telling my Eagles fan friend that, well, you can't celebrate the Super Bowl since you've been saying it's fixed all year. Fixed Super Bowl, dog. All right, have a good one.
I appreciate that, Ryan. We haven't addressed the signs, I don't think, that much. We did a whole thing on John 3:14.
Yeah, I'd also like to. I'll you know, he talked about the fixed Super Bowl at the end. I got an unhinged DM from a Eagles fan about me saying the Super Bowl was fixed. That I can't even believe is like, you talk about Trump trolling. Could there have been a more blatantly obvious me making a trolling joke about the Super Bowl being fixed?
Wait, he didn't know you were trolling? That's pretty funny.
Just, you're refusing to take an L. Just refusing. Now it's fixed for the Eagles the whole year. You said the NFL doesn't fix games, and now it's fixed for the Eagles. I'm like, this is the epitome of Eagles fans. The epitome of Eagles fans is being so dumb to think I suddenly decided on the last day that the league was indeed fixed. This is just me throwing it in your dumbass fucking faces, you morons. Oh,
well,
the league was fixed when the Chiefs were winning.
Did he not know you were trolling, or was he mad that you didn't take the L?
No, he was mad. Both.
There is a difference.
Both. But he's mad. He was like, oh, now it is fixed. And I'm like, no, how could someone be so dumb?
Because if he came to you and was like, dude, just take the L, that's different.
Right, but like the whole episode was about how the fucking Eagles won the Super Bowl. Like, what is the L? Like, I took the L, and I stuck.
You did not take the L, Prano.
Sure, I did. Of course, I did.
Get the F out of here, bro.
Of course, I did. And
you never was like, hey, like I was like, dude, I was wrong. Eagles fucking pounded the Chiefs. This was an ass whooping. You've been on the Eagles all year, is what I'm saying.
What's
More
that?
than me. You've been against the Eagles all year.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But we talked in depth about the defense just being too much for the fucking Chiefs. Like, props to them. Props to the Eagles for doing it. Like, what, like the whole idea of like taking the L's. Like, what is, they won the Super Bowl, guys. They won the fucking Super Bowl.
I think people want to hear the words "I was wrong."
I absolutely said that in that episode.
Okay, I don't remember.
Absolutely said that in the episode. But this is everything that's wrong with Eagles fans, by the way. Now it's rigged. I'm like, you guys must be just eat horse shit at this point. Just eat, like, I don't know.
Well, I fully agree with the call. And I was laughing when you were leaving because it's true. I mean, the way you break it down on the call, Brian, is pretty funny because you're accurate. It's like, because you see that all the time. It doesn't matter where it's an NFL game. It's just take any sports. Like, cool, dude, you traveled here. Like he said, you hopped on a plane. Like, I don't know. The thought of making a sign and bringing it, especially as an adult, kids, you get a pass, dude. If you're a kid, you get a pass.
It's the simplest rule for signs. Remember the old "What would Jesus do" bracelets?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you're sitting at home and you got an idea for a sign, ask yourself, is this so funny and so clever that every single person at the stadium is going to want a picture with this sign? Every single person goes, oh my God, dude, I got to get a picture of that. That is unbelievable. Tebow wears jorts. Fucking hilarious. I need it. But if you can't answer, everybody's going to think, I drove here from Anchorage, Alaska to watch Steph Curry. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
0 people give a fuck.
0. No
Steph
one.
Curry doesn't give a fuck. He's like, oh God, here we go.
But
let me give this guy now.
Let me hop in here though, real quick. We don't, but those people controlling the game, the producers and the camera crew, they might cut to it. That's the thing.
Great.
And the announcer.
Ask yourself a question.
I don't.
Is every single person in the stadium going to be blown away by your wit?
No, I'm not just that. I'm just saying, is that in their head too? Of like, oh, I got on TV. They saw.
You know what else would draw a crowd? A golfer with an arm growing out of his ass.
Well, I agree. Like the sign again for me. If you're an adult, College Game Day on ESPN is different. The name of the game is to get on with your sign. That's College Game Day. I'm talking about bringing a sign into a professional sports or collegiate, whatever it is, event. Like you're bringing a sign in.
If you just think of the most absolutely brilliant thing ever, go for it. But literally, that should be your bar. You should be like, will there be 5 people in this stadium who don't care about the sign? And if the answer is yes, do not bring that sign. You need to be prepared. If you are not prepared to stop and take 1,000 pictures because of how fucking funny and clever your shit is, then don't bring it. Remember back in the day, everybody used to do the what's it called? God, what's the word I'm thinking about when you acronym signs where it'd be like ESPN and then they were whatever.
You still see them sometimes.
Even those, if you don't use every single letter, the first letter of every word, if you're like every sports Prano and then you use the N like in the middle of the word, get fucked, dude. If you can't nail an acronym every single first letter and make it brilliant, leave that fucking sign at home.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What about I just sharted? That's an Andy Ruther sign, but not everybody would like it. See, not everybody would like it.
That's when the games are played on IJS.
Oh, that's funny. You still do occasionally see the drawing out of like CBS or ESPN.
If you can't hit every fucking letter,
I do think that I know why you said it grinds his gears. Like if I'm watching an NFL game and you're like, okay, guys, really? Again, kids get a pass if a kid's like, my first Chiefs game or something, like whatever. Like you're a kid, you get a pass. But yeah, the flew all the way here or drove all the way. Like my first Packers game, I came from Ontario. Like, dude, nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares.
nobody cares.
Not a single person. And you're so like you came all the way from there with the sign. Did you write it before the game? Was it packed in your car?
Most places you're not even allowed to bring signs
Well,
anymore.
most places you can't. Yeah.
So now you have I drove here from Anchorage to watch LeBron, and you got a shove poster board down your pants.
It's like smuggling drugs into a jail.
You're like, I have this sign. I also have fentanyl if anybody needs it.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, don't be bringing signs to games. I mean, it's a pretty standard rule, guys. Don't dress as a cat or your mascot. Don't bring signs. Just enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Wear your team's gear. Fine. I mean, it's, if we had to make like a 10 commandments of what not to do, it's like, I've hit 2 of them. Don't wear a LeBron jersey when you're at a Bucks Mavericks game.
Don't wear a baseball glove if you're over 12.
Yeah. Okay. So we're up to 4. Like,
if you are old enough to play on the 90-foot diamond, you do not get to bring a glove to a baseball game.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if this is a side rule, like don't ever steal a ball from a child.
Yeah.
At a baseball game. Like the kids get the balls first. It's basic common sense. Don't yell out, John Jay, hey, John Jay, all game. Call back.
Get extra napkins if you get a helmet nachos.
If you
they
ever
do that in hockey? Are there like little hockey helmets full of poutine for these like Four Nations games?
If you're walking through Dodger Stadium on 420, don't announce to the entire crowd you can't bring edibles in. That's a no. Don't do that.
Don't troll the best player on the other team if you're a midget director who hasn't made a good movie in 35 years. Too specific?
Spike Lee?
Yeah.
At first I was like, midget. Okay, got it. Leave us a call if you guys want to hop into the conversation. 310-359-8365. Real quick, I'm going to just wrap the show up with the story I told you before the show. Those guys who robbed Joe Burrow were robbing everybody.
That's crazy to me.
It's crazy. The Chilean gang who robbed Burrow also robbed Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Bobby Portis Jr., possibly a bunch of NHL guys, other NFL players. They literally, the FBI cracked it because they were taking selfies
with shit they stole from people.
With shit they stole, all the ones with Burrow, everybody has seen wearing Burrow's gear, and they were sending it to like other people via iCloud. In
case you're wondering whether or not the federal government can monitor your text messages, guys.
Yeah, they can.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. It's unbelievable.
Take it to WhatsApp, morons.
7 Chilean burglars who targeted athletes over 3 months. So basically, here's what they would do. Here's what's wild.
Chilean?
Yeah, they were Chilean. They would hide in the woods while monitoring the patterns of security guards, then break into the homes of wealthy athletes by breaking small windows or prying open.
To be fair, they've trained their whole lives for this. Their dads lived in a mine for 30 days. They're like, I can live in a wood for 6 hours.
I mean, that's what they did. They're smart, obviously, too. They were they were using rental cars. I wonder if Enterprise was involved. They would rent with fake IDs. This went on for like 3 months. And
What's like the even? I mean, at this point, where they're stealing watches, like they're stealing cash. Like, how much you
Well-
really profiting if you're a gang of 7 Chileans?
it was up to 3 million.
Jesus.
In one particular robbery at Bobby Portis Jr.'s home, gang members broke open a safe containing several watches, chains, personal items, jewelry, and cash. Also stolen was a Louis Vuitton suitcase and designer bags. The total value alone of Bobby Portis Jr.'s robbery was $1.48 million.
Jesus.
All while these guys
Bobby Portis Jr.
Yeah.
It's good to be an NBA player, dude.
All while these guys were working. So they got, you know how they got caught? They got pulled over. They were halted in a Florida rental car by a cop in they're in a Florida rental car on the Ohio freeway.
They got the reason they got caught is they were on their way to an NBA game with a sign that said, "I had to rob Bobby Portis Jr. to afford these tickets."
So they get pulled over in Ohio by a cop, and
I drove all the way from Bobby Portis Jr.'s house to be here to watch LeBron play. Like, that's suspicious.
So they get pulled over, and they run the tags. And like, okay, it's a Florida rental car in Ohio. This is starting to look sketchy. And one of the guys was wearing a Bengal stocking cap. One of the guys was wearing like Burroughs stocking cap. I assume it was Burroughs. They spoke no English, and the officer apparently asked them in Spanish where they were headed, and they answered Orlando. They were in Ohio. And then the guy's like, "Oh, that's the wrong direction." And then apparently somebody in the back seat goes, "No, it's New York." And then the guy goes, "No, we're going to Florida, not New York." And then everything basically, like that car was searched, and they found what they call window punchers. Window punches. But here's what's wild about the Burrow thing. You talk about hiding in the woods. Apparently they monitored Burrow's house so well that when the security changed shifts and when they would move between the front and the back of the house, they entered Burrow's house without breaking any windows. Because this was all like they had a whole team monitor. Okay, he's going up there for 2 minutes. Find a way to get in without breaking a window. And they were all hanging out in the woods. Guys, you know I love documentaries. Can't wait for this one.
Did you watch the Team USA Olympic one?
I haven't gotten to that one yet.
Okay, I haven't watched it either. I just saw
A lot of clips.
Saw it come up the other day when my girl was watching Love is Blind or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, that's
God,
interesting."
Brittany's watching that shit again too. I mean,
how many of these can they have?
that's exactly what I was asking.
She goes, "Oh, they're in production on them before the other ones even aired." I'm like,
Because then they do a follow up, right?
I don't know.
They just milk it.
Yeah.
I mean, where you at, Doge? We can start. We can start cutting Love is Blind. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Again, 310-359-8365. That's the hotline.
Guys, you can see me this weekend, House of Comedy Arizona with Eddie Ift. All weekend Thursday, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday. Back in town next week, San Luis Obispo, the Slow Comedy Fest, one of my favorite comedy festivals in the world. I will be there next weekend. And then March, got some shows coming up. So check that out. May. Here's a part of the country I haven't been to do stand-up comedy in a little while. So if you're a dirtball, that's down in Georgia. In May. I'll be doing the inaugural Athens Comedy Festival. I've never been to Athens, Georgia. Always wanted to go.
You're gonna love it
because big REM fan.
Yeah.
So can't wait to go to Athens, Georgia. First weekend in May, I believe. My exact show times and dates are TBD, but inaugural Athens Comedy Festival at a big theater there. So if you're in or around Athens, Georgia, put that on your calendar. I'll be there. All that and more. JoePrano.com. Go there for shows. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Listen to the latest. More stories. Great one out right now with Felipe Esparza. Great one coming up this coming Tuesday with Greg Fitzsimmons, where Jay talks about being at the SNL 50.
Cool. You're gonna love Athens, and I assume, are you flying in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Great college town, man.
I mean, it's
so I stand by this. All those college shows I used to do, hottest chicks of all of them was Athens. And I always used to make the joke, the friendliest racist you'll ever meet were those kids.
I'm going to bring a sign that says, I left my fiance home to come see the college chicks Andy Ruther told me about.
You should. Let's get out of here on that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great weekend. And as always, stay dirty.